Okay, this is going to be a raindrop effect. And I'm starting by selecting a black and white gradient, linear, and I just created a circle, and I'm using this the arrow tool, the selection tool, to just shape it into the shape of a raindrop. You could just draw it in, it doesn't matter, but this way works just fine. So I'm going to go over on this how to make a raining effect. Takes a little work for the timing. This is just one. I'm converting this raindrop into a symbol, and I'm making it a graphic and naming it gr_raindrop because it's a graphic symbol. I'm going to first just go over on the stage how to do this on the main timeline, and then I'm going to nest symbols so that it will I can just reuse it constantly and have multiple raindrops. For this effect to work really well, you're going to want to have multiple instances, so you're going to want to have like a few different raindrops, probably like 5, 6 at a minimum. And all I'm doing here is I'm just changing the color of my raindrop. And adjusting the color like so. And I'm just toggling around to make it look like it has a little bit of a lighting effect on it. So I got this raindrop, and now I'm going to create a ripple. So when it makes contact, it looks like it's landing either in a puddle or a lake, and I'm going to create a splash as well. I turned on the onion skin tool, and I'm just selecting a blue color, and I'm going to begin drawing the ripple effect. And all I'm doing is I'm just hitting F7 to insert a blank keyframe, and with the onion skin tool I can see the previous frame before that. And now I have the start of my ripple effect, and I'm just giving it, I'm not making it like perfect circles, I'm giving it a little bit of a jagged line around it. This is something that I'm doing fairly quickly, but it to get the right effect, you just gotta have like the right timing to the drop of the raindrop itself, and that would depend on like the speed and momentum of the drop making contact with the water. And I'm just gonna keep drawing circles that are slightly larger than the next one, and then I'm gonna have just like a kind of a dash line to give it the effect that it's starting to fade away, or ripple away. So I'm gonna do that for a couple of frames and just get this effect going, and then F7, and I'm just drawing in dots as I did with the lightning bolt effect, same exact concept, and then just dots that are further placed away. So now I have a ripple effect. So now when the rain makes contact, it ripples the water. So now I'm going to go and do a splash at the same time as the water is rippling. So when it makes contact, I get this splash effect as well to make it look like it splashes into the water. And I'm just onion skinning this as well, and I'm just drawing in a couple of frames of the water splashing out. They're just more or less ovals that I'm drawing, and I'm just drawing a couple just to give it the effect that it's splashing, and it will make contact with the water and then disappear as well. So I'll get these little splashes of water popping up, and obviously the larger the raindrop, the larger the splash. So and for that matter, anything making contact with water and hitting water. So if you were gonna drop a bowling ball, it would be a much larger splash. And this is just a quick, easy way to do it and get that effect. So what we have here is I've just got like 3-4 water splashes being onion skinned to give it the effect that it's splashing. And all I'm doing is, as mentioned earlier, I'm just pressing F7 to give it that ripple effect. Or I'm pressing F7 to insert a blank keyframe to make the process quicker. The same as I did with the ripple effect. And now I've got my raindrops or my splashes, and I'm just drawing in lines where it's making contact with the water for those 3 splashes, and then I've got the one more, and then I'm just going to draw one more line for that. Excuse me. And there we go. So now I hit enter, and I've got my raindrop splashing and making a ripple with a splash. So the next thing I want to do is I want to put these all in their own symbols. So I'm going to copy the layer of the ripple effect. I'm just selecting the layer, right clicking, and selecting copy layer, and then I just right click and paste layer. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually, to make this ripple a little bit more visually appealing and more realistic, I'm copying the same exact ripple, and I'm just staggering the frames. So this way I get a more realistic ripple. You could do this 2-3 times, and then just to get the right effect that you're looking for, you just play around with the timing on it. And that's just selecting the frames, highlighting the frames you want to move, and then just clicking and dragging them and staggering them. And I'm pasting the same layer one more time, and I'm always keeping my layers named. This way it's really easy to navigate through my scene. And now I can just click and drag. I'm just going to highlight the frames I want to, and then just drag them out. And I've got a ripple effect with a splash. So I'm just going to now nest all these symbols. Now that I've got all the animation done that I need, I can begin to create their own symbols for each other, and create a lot of rain droplets much quicker. gr_ripple. And I'm just going to go into scene 1, and I'm copying these layers, and I'm just selecting. You can hold Control and select each one of them individually, or you can select the top one and hold Shift and click the last layer that you want, and that'll select all the layers that you need. Then I'm going to paste layers. They're already named, all the animation's done. And the reason you can't see it is because I wasn't zoomed out far enough, so you can see it right here. And I've got it animating. Now, go into create a new symbol, and I'm gonna name this gr_splash. I'm gonna go into my scene. I'm gonna copy, right click on that layer, copy that layer, and then just paste the layer inside of the symbol. And if you notice, when I'm going within those symbols, all I'm doing is double clicking in the library item. I'm going to create a new symbol, and this is going to be my raindrop, the one that I already have on the stage. Raindrop, gr_raindrop plus effects. I'm going to go into scene 1, copy that layer, copy the raindrop because I already have it animated, right click, paste layer, and it is working just fine. And I'm going to delete that layer, and now I'm going to start nesting the splash with the ripple. So now I've got my ripple in there, I have 7. Go ahead, and I'm going to just drag that onto the stage and make sure that I've got the appropriate frames. It's already preset, so I don't have to do anything. I just have to have it start on frame 1, and that frame is 32, so I know that goes out to 32 frames. Go back into my raindrop effect. And while doing this, I just totally made the mistake of starting it there when I just realized that I already had the frames preset in there. So all I have to do is just move that further back. So just have it start on frame 1. You'll see momentarily. And with the onion skin on and zoomed out as far as I am having a hard time seeing the stage. So I'm changing the stage color. And I am removing those frames. So now all I'm doing is just placing these right in together. I could have copied all the layers and just thrown it in, but I wanted to create each of these on its own separate layer for a specific reason of if I were to go back and start creating a bunch of raindrops that have different timing and different sizes and slightly different colors or whatever, I could reuse a lot of these same instances and begin animating them much quicker because I'd already have it all done. So I just had to remove one frame because it was just a frame shy, and rename that layer Splash. Now when I go through it, I'm just making sure that I position it correctly. That's about right. So now I've got all the layers I need, and I have it all within my raindrop plus effect. And I'm going to briefly go over if you had multiple raindrops. I'm just going to reuse this same one and just show you how to get it to look right. You're going to want to have for instance, you know, a foreground of raindrops, a midground, and a background of raindrops, all depending on how you decide to animate your animation. For this, I'm just taking all these, I'm creating them into guide layers, so when you export it as a SWF, you won't see it. And I'm just going to keep the original on my stage in case I need to go back and do anything else. And I'm putting that all in a folder called Original Raindrop. So now I'm creating a new layer, and I'm going to just briefly go over on how to go about doing this. Rain can be tricky. And I'm just placing this to be on the stage. I have it all within one symbol, all animating on one layer, which is really nice, especially when you get a lot of things that you're animating. It's nice to be able to work with just a few layers versus a ton of layers. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just gonna create GR rain foreground, and I'm just gonna be reusing this one instance of the same raindrop I created. Okay, so that's all animating correctly. I was just double checking. It's 32 frames long, so just making sure I had the right timing on it, and it's 32 frames. And I'm just placing a couple of these raindrops on here for just a simple example on how to do this. So I just placed 4 raindrops on the stage, 5 raindrops on the stage. And one thing you can do when you're using the same raindrop is, I have them all in the same layer. Normally you'd want to have them all on separate layers, just because this way you could have the time of work out easier. But you can select on each symbol and change the first frame that it plays at, and all that is under the properties under first frame. I just set that one to start on the 7th frame, but that's a little bit too far ahead, so I think I'll go no further than like 4 or 5 to start the first frame. And this is just to stagger them a little bit so they all have a little bit different timing. And this is where you'd want to have at least a couple different raindrops, all made with the same exact technique, just different timing on the contact of it, maybe different ripples, smaller, larger, whatever. So I've got 5 raindrops. I put them all in the same layer. Like I said, I normally want to put them on separate layers, so I play around with the timing a little bit better. And now I am going to just drag and drop that on the stage. And this is just to give you an idea of how to get rain done effectively. So I got them landing at separate times, and I'm just changing the placement of it. So I've got a foreground. I'm going to do the same exact thing, create a new symbol, and make it just a midground, and I'm just redoing the same exact thing I just previously did. and I'm just going to scale them to be a bit smaller, and then I'll do a background where it's a bit smaller. And to get all of it to continuously loop and look like, for one, it's not looping, you have to play around with the timing, because you don't want rain to continuously do the same thing, at least at an visually easy to tell. You'd want it to be staggered quite a bit, so it's not visually easy to tell, obviously, to make it look more realistic. And I'm doing the same exact thing as I just did, and I'm just starting it a couple frames after, just to stagger it a bit and make it easy for anyone watching this to distinguish the difference. I'm just scaling these, and I'm copying and pasting, Control C, Control V, and then because they're a little bit smaller, it's going to take more room for them to fill up the stage. So now I'm just adjusting under the properties. I'm selecting on each raindrop and having it start on just a random frame, 1 through 5. If I do any more, it'll start animating in the middle of the stage and it'll look funny. So once I get that all done, now I can hit enter, and these will be staggered a little bit, falling at different rates. It's all animated on one, so it's a little bit difficult to tell, but they are animating on a staggered effect, more or less. So now I've got my foreground and midground. I'm just adjusting the placement. So now I've got a rain background I'm creating here. So I've got my rain foreground, my rain midground, and now I'm doing my rain background. And I'm doing the same exact thing as I did with the foreground and the midground. And I'm just showing you how to do this way, because you would want to have a couple of raindrops that are different from each other at different speeds, and various types of ripples and things like that. And I'm just adjusting the frames on these. So normally I'd be dragging, like, 3 or 4 different raindrops on, and for whatever reason it's not allowing me to highlight and select them all, so I have to select all these individually. I'm just selecting them and holding shift, then I'm hitting Control C, Control V for copy and paste, and then I'm just relocating them on the stage. So now I did that, like, I copied and pasted like 4 times or so, and I am just scaling them a bit smaller. And on the rain background, I am just dragging it on from my library. So I've got that. I just dragged it over to try to play around with the timing. Make it easier for you to see a difference between the foreground, midground, and background. And then I'm going to, once I'm completed with all that, I will be adding just like a very basic, simple background. So I'm just copying and pasting the background a couple times to make sure I cover the entire stage. So you notice how they all fall at the same exact timing. Something that you'd obviously need to play around with and have a couple different raindrops falling at a different pace. And so I've got something like that. So I'm just going to create a new layer, and I'm just bringing it out to 100 something frames just to see how it loops. You know, it's definitely not perfect. It needs timing played around with, and it also needs a couple of different speeds and shapes and sizes of raindrops to make it look more realistic. I'm going to add in a really simple background. I'm just grabbing the brush tool, and I'm just going to select a darker blue and just give this kind of water looking effect. Okay, and I'm just making sure that the stage is covered, so I'm just taking it out a little bit further than the actual stage. I'm filling it with the fill bucket, and now I've got rain falling. And one last thing is I'm just going to change the color of the stage, and I'm just going to make it like a dark gray as if it was a stormy day. Really basic background, but you can see that you get this raindrop effect and the ripples in the water, and it adds a ton. It also has the little splash. But yeah, there you go. That's it. That's the raindrop effect.